Well, getting you set for the weekend of Friday. It is the 21st day of October. Joining us in the studio this morning is Terry Kerr and Lynn Gagnon from St. James Episcopal Church in Titusville. Good morning, guys. How are you?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the program. Good to see you.
Thank you.
This is like getting into the fun part of the season. A lot going on. You guys have a big Thanksgiving meal coming up. There's a lot of great activities. Before we get to that, you have an event coming up a week from now, so next weekend.
Right.
What's going on?
St. James is hosting an interfaith program. It's entitled the Children of Abraham Project. And if we look back in history, we see that the founders of Christianity and Islam and Judaism were all the children of Abraham. So what this is an open discussion about the differences and the similarities of these faiths. It's kind of a tough world we live in right now, and there's a lot of anger and a lot of people are having a hard time dealing with what's going on in this world. And this discussion hopes to, with this, we hope to kind of bring the similarities together and let us have an open and honest discussion about this. There are three people who are doing this. The first one would be Reverend Timothy Dyer, and he is an Episcopal deacon from Youngsville. And he's the one who put this project together and started it. So he will be joined by Sam Kadri, who is the Public Relations Director at Jamestown Islamic Society. He's also a high school teacher and an adjunct professor at Jamestown Business College. The last one on the panel is Mr. Harvey Stone. He's representing the Jewish faith. He is well known around the area, Warren area, and he has shared information and bits about his faith with several people from that area. This has been done in a few locations around here. The last one, I think, was in Franklin, right, and was very well received. This is free to the public. It's from 2 to 5 on Saturday the 29th. Refreshments will be served. And if after what they have to say, there will be open discussion, a question and answer period, and all three of these gentlemen are very used to tough questions, of which I'm sure there'll be some.
And that's just from Terry, so.
Yeah. I'll send them in ahead of time.
There you go.
Got to be careful with him.
There you go.
He runs a mean housing meeting.
So I've heard.
Well, Lynn, you did mention how timely this is. Terry, talk about just the political environment we're in and what folks can take away from something like this.
Well, as Lynn alluded to, I think that's probably one of the most motivating factors the reason why the Bishops' Committee decided to move forward with this program. With the way that things have been developing over the course of this presidential campaign, and certainly with the violence that has been occurring across the country and across the world for that matter, there's been a lot of misconceptions about various religious beliefs, and this is an attempt to provide for the Titusville area community residents a little bit better understanding, hopefully, of the relationships between the three different religious backgrounds, and also to understand that there may be some very surprising similarities, as well as some obvious differences as well. But that's really what made the decision a lot easier for us to bring in a program like this, just to enlighten the community as best we can.
And it's nice because it's not just them speaking and then they leave, but it's a chance, as you say, to have that discussion, to open the floor to questions and create a dialogue. And you don't see that today. You see a lot of shouting, or you don't see that opportunity for people to speak or ask questions.
Right.
Absolutely. And Titusville area is somewhat sheltered from a lot of what's going on around the world to a large extent, and this kind of brings everybody together to have a much open dialogue and better understanding.
These three gentlemen, do they draw a fairly large audience wherever they go?
They have. There will be information. We're putting out information with posters, with newspaper, with television. So we're hoping that we get quite a good crowd. In the past, they've done very well.
Where else will they be? Will they be anywhere else in Northwest Pennsylvania?
That depends on individual churches.
Oh, I
so
see.
I
Okay.
really don't know. I couldn't tell you that.
So how did this conversation, how did it start with you guys? Were you approached about, to bring this program here, or did you guys know of it? And did you say, boy, this is something that
Well, there
would
were
be nice to
several
have?
of us that
Well, we had some people from the church attend the event in Franklin.
Okay.
And
Right.
they came away from that program feeling that it was something that would be certainly worthwhile for our community to have an opportunity to see the program as well. So that's really what brought the attention to St. James.
So it sounds like it's also an opportunity for folks, not just here in Titusville, but the surrounding communities
Right.
to come in and
Right.
take part of this.
Absolutely.
several parishioners have talked with Martha Ishman, who is our canon. She's our vicar, actually. And this has come up a lot of times in conversations with individuals with, what do I say to my kids? How do we handle this? How do you handle your faith? How do you stay a Christian in this world with the atrocities that are going on? This kind of thing. And so there was some discussion beforehand of what do you do about this and whether we were going to do Christian education on it or how to handle it. And then we found out about this project, and this seems where we want to start anyway.
So is this more for adults, or could young kids come to this? I mean, what's sort of the demographic you're looking for? Is it maybe it's better for parents to take part in this and then
I
go
would
back to
think
their
so.
kids?
Don't you think so?
Well, yeah, I would suggest that certainly it's open to teenagers, but I would also suggest that parents accompany their children to the program so that they would be able to understand when the kids come home that they can have a dialogue at home, and the parents will have the same information as what the kids experienced. So that's what I think would be the best thing, but we certainly aren't going to turn kids away should middle school age on up want to attend the program. But I think in the past it's been primarily adults that have come to those programs.
So again, it's a good way for maybe the adults to ask those questions, learn a little something, and then go back and sit with their kids and say, hey, and open up that dialogue. So here you guys are opening the dialogue to other adults, which opens the door for them to have that dialogue with their kids.
Absolutely. Right.
This is actually sort of a way to put your hand on the pulse of something that's happening right now. The reason
Right.
I say that is over the years, and I mean a lot of years, this is one of my favorite subjects that kind of intertwines with a lot of other things that happen in the Middle East. But I've done a lot of reading and a lot of studying too, and this is a way for someone like me to actually be able to maybe put my hand on and feel the pulse of where the rubber hits the road with all of this. I imagine that's probably one of the biggest advantages with a program like this.
Hopefully it's going to open some eyes and some hearts and at least make people stop and think before they just go to the usual rhetoric.
Well, it's funny because even around here, it's, well, I'm a Catholic, or oh, I'm Methodist, or
Right.
oh, I'm Presbyterian, or oh, I'm Episcopalian. You sort of lose sight of what the overall theme is and what everybody that common goal here. You sort of lose that, here even locally. So I mean, again, a lot of, and Mark, we talk about this all the time. The percentage of people who actually don't make it out of town.
Yeah, I think the statistic I heard once just a few years ago was that about 60% of the folks that live in Northwest Pennsylvania have never left Northwest Pennsylvania. There's not as big a percentage of well-traveled folks as you would might expect. And so Terry, your comment about Titusville being somewhat sheltered or insulated from a lot of the things that we hear and see every day is quite true.
I mean, Mark didn't know what an iPad was till last week.
No, I see he has one.
Yeah. But again, sheltered. So
Yeah, but I have to get Colin to help me reset it.
I resemble everything.
but again, here's an opportunity for those who can't venture out. You're bringing something from the outside in,
Right.
and allowing people, as Mark said, to put their hand on it and get to experience it. So
And you're blasted from all sides of media every day
Right.
with all the happenings that are going on. So this should be a very interesting program. I'd encourage anybody to come. You don't have to ask questions. You don't have to talk. You can just sit and take it in.
Is this strictly religious material that they will be talking about, or does this touch on historical and cultural items?
It will. It will go into the historical and cultural
Well, that's good
parts of the whole
because
thing and how we're all similar.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I would imagine that's probably very important because true believers of any faith make that faith a part and parcel of their life. It defines who they are, and of course that defines their culture.
Right.
So it'll be good to learn about all of this.
21 minutes past the hour of 8 o'clock. This is the Morning Drill on Stream Television and the Allegheny News Talk Sports Network. All right, so this event's coming up Saturday the 29th.
From 2 to 5.
2 to 5, and we'll recap this in just a little bit. What else do you guys have going on at the church?
Terry's on it.
Well, we have a program that's going to be scheduled for early February. In fact, it's currently set for February 6th through the 10th of 2017. And it's going to be the third year that we've run this educational-based program called St. James After Dark.
Ooh.
And it's a program that's been pretty successful. We've basically set up a whole litany of different classes that adults could register for through Monday evenings through Thursday evenings. And this will be a time we felt that would be an opportunity to bring to the community so that people could get out of the house about that time of year. Things start getting a little bit dreary and cabin fever starts setting in. So this is a week of classes that will be on many different subjects offered during the evening hours. Last year we had about 50 to 60 adults take advantage of the program. There's a small fee per course, and all funds that are raised will go to outreach for the Titusville area. So we're not simply going to be using the registration money to benefit just St. James. It's going to be a designated outreach for a worthy cause in the Titusville area. So the classes are open to everyone in the community, and we'll have a deadline for registration just prior to the start so that we can have an idea of the number of people that are going to be registered. So we're planning to have the menu of classes pretty well set by the 1st of December. And then,
So they're not finalized yet?
Oh, no, not
Okay.
yet. We're still going to be, over the course of the end of October into November, we're going to be reaching out to various experts in the field of different classes and setting up the program, and then hopefully get that program out on our website 1st of December with registration starting just after Christmas in early January. Some of the classes that we've been offering, it's basically crafts and hobbies and things like that people may be interested in learning more about. Knitting, rug hooking, hypertufa, chemical glass etching, no-sew fleece blankets. We have a raised bed gardening class. We have we've had Zentangling before. We've had Landscaping 101, and we reach out to various experts who either work in those fields or have some very good expertise in those kinds of programs. So those are just a few. We're not going to be limited to those kinds of things. So if people have some skills and have an interest in a certain area and they would like to be a teacher for one of these programs, then we certainly would embrace that subject. I know that maybe fly tying is already set up. I think
wow.
That's we're planning to have a fly tying class.
It sounds like
brought in.
It sounds like it's something that you don't have to be good at or know anything
No,
about.
you don't.
But the fellowship and just looking to have a good time, and as you say, to get out of the house that time of year, you have winter sports wrapping up. People are looking for something to do. They're itching to get out. This would be a great opportunity to
Well,
go out.
if you remember back, there used to be all kinds of adult education classes that were offered through the leisure services, or at the time it was the recreation program, and there really is not much that's been offered recently, and that's why St. James felt that it could fill a void in adult education. And again, it allows for people to come together, as you said, and have some fellowship and some fun. And the classes are all held at the parish hall. And we have 3 different locations that we can put class, so we can run 2 or 3 classes at the same time simultaneously. So generally they run anywhere from 6 to 8 o'clock. So they may be an hour session, they may be 2-hour sessions, depending on the topic.
So folks can maybe start taking a look to see when those classes are going to be available. December, you said hopefully you'll have...
Yeah,
those
hopefully
classes
we'll have a
scheduled.
menu of the program posted on our website, and people can be starting to think about what they might be interested in registering for. But we're probably not going to open registration until after the holiday season and the Christmas season is through. And then people can start looking forward to February and
It'll be here before you know it.
Yeah, it's not too early to start looking at ways to think about breaking the winter doldrums.
No, absolutely.
Especially when it's been 70 degrees.
One of the real popular classes was the Ukrainian egg painting. And if you've ever seen a Ukrainian egg, they're very intricate. They're just beautiful. And I thought, I couldn't, there's no way I could do that. And the eggs that these people did were absolutely fantastic. And they had no training, nothing previous at all on this. So it really does some neat things. And we also had card making. We've had wine making in the past and beer brewing. And
Did you use water to start?
I
And
wasn't
turn it
in
into
that
wine?
class, so I don't know.
I don't think either of us are qualified to do that.
One miracle at a time, okay?
You mentioned the holidays, some big events coming up. Just a couple weeks until Thanksgiving, and you guys have a
know.
big luncheon.
We do. I believe it's the Tuesday before Thanksgiving is when they usually do it.
For the soup kitchen,
For the soup kitchen meal. And I know last year they served almost 200 people.
It was incredible.
It really is.
We
It's
came over to
just-
cover that. It was
Did you?
wonderful. It
Yeah,
really
he
was.
says that, but I think he had a bite to eat.
They invited
good.
me in, of
Good.
course.
That's hard to pass up.
Well, you got to sample the product. You know?
That's right.
Well, I had to do accurate reporting, you know.
But you're right, over 200. That's incredible.
Yeah. And they have the volunteers that come out for that. It's just a really great Thanksgiving meal, a thing to do.
And then around Christmas, so what sort of special services will be going on?
Christmas, we're doing an Advent study program. She's doing an Advent event every Sunday, and we'll be having our Christmas Eve service, I'm sure, at 8 o'clock,
Yep.
which is when they do that.
Is that a candlelight service?
It is.
Okay. It's very beautiful. in
It
there.
is. It's gorgeous. It's just kind of makes you shiver.
I
sitting
know.
there
And again, it's coming so fast.
It does. It just races. We just had our blessing of the animals. Where we had horses, a mule, and we didn't have our little pot-bellied pig this year, but we had lots of dogs and cats and
Chickens.
We had chickens
Wow.
this
Chickens,
year,
yeah.
and they all come in the church and they all just automatically sit down and behave. It's really weird to watch because they're out in the church hall and they're all going crazy and barking and everything else, and that stops when they come in the church.
Wow. Well, let's recap what's going on the 29th.
29th is the Children of Abraham Project, and that's the discussion that will be held at St. James Church on Main Street in the church hall from 2 to 5. And there is no charge for this at all, and refreshments will be offered. And please come, bring a friend, bring family.
And take part in the discussion.
Just come and take it in and see if it says anything to you.
All right. Terry, Lynn, thank you so much for coming in.
Sure, our
And
pleasure.
Maybe come back in a couple weeks and we'll
Okay.
talk about the holiday
Right.
events coming up again.
Right, we haven't got that all put together yet, but we're working on it.
Excellent. Well, it's great to see you guys. Take
Thanks,
care.
Lynn.
Thank you.
Good to see you too.
Final look at news coming up next, and then Mr. Sports, Bruce Peterson. This is the Morning Drill on Stream Television and the Allegheny News Talk Sports Network.
Days blur into one back. of